a new and largely unknown Chinese AI system called DeepSeek has, according to some, rocked the tech industry and the global markets. So, Emily, rocked the global markets.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody who works in finance. That's not a world that I'm in. And they were saying to me that it's as bad as 2008 in terms of the panic among markets. And
what does that mean? What does 2008 mean?
So that was the global financial crisis where markets just absolutely plummeted.
Tech bubble. Bursting.
And so I think those of us in technology we've all been eye rolling about all of these, and our new startup, and we use AI this and AI that, and it's almost like you have to lace whatever you say with AI. And the sort of cycle of investment trends with technology tends to go, there's a new shiny thing, it attracts a ton of investment, and then something happens to wake the investors up from their trance. They panic, they realise they never understood the technology and it was probably never that good and it was probably overpriced and overclaimed, which we all know is true for AI. Yeah. And then they kind of flee. And so we're seeing the results of that in the market, but it means that for investment in tech is bad news, because then worthy projects don't get financed. Then the word that has been the magic word to attract the money, AI in this case, then becomes a kind of repel. It's like the magnet turns around and it repels investment because they're like, oh, we're not touching that. Do you remember DeepSeek? But it's definitely seismic, and the markets, as Mrs. Thatcher said, you can't buck the markets.
Oh, now, Kieran, I'm going to come to you in a second about the technology, because you and the techies a bit earlier here were like about
it was like a modem.
The technical meaning of this. And when you see the techies get excited, you've got to be careful. Yeah. Guy, I was interested in your thoughts about the geopolitical aspects of this, because you got this Trump thing where he's basically saying the whole world now has to come to my court and kneel. We're going to tax you unless you invest in my vision and my dream. And they come out with this app. The app is free. It's the most downloaded app in the Apple Store. Where does that leave us, and what about Europe?
Well, the question I have for two questions I have for you, because I'm not expert on this. Two things. Firstly, if you can maybe the viewers may find this helpful. There's clearly an issue here between the US and China. The US wants a monopoly on it seems AI, and that's where the investment things go up. And in simple terms, it seems like the Americans don't want to give stuff to China. So question one, why should America presume to be dominant on AI? And secondly, maybe explain why some people in the West might be concerned about the rise of the East and China, because it's not just about AI, is it?
No.
So a few thoughts.
So China is very open about its ambitions to become a tech superpower. Yeah. And Kieran, you and I were talking about this last night, that America, some people have called DeepSeek AI's Sputnik moment. But when the actual Sputnik happened, that was when, of course, Russia won the space race during the Cold War. America was completely devastated and reacted by going, right, we are going to innovate the hell out of this. And what America seems to be in at the moment is a cycle of fear. So it has been used to being technically dominant, the most innovative country. I mean, its economy is massive. Silicon Valley and California could be in the G7 on its own. So it is really ahead. But instead of going competition is healthy, this is a healthy thing, they're doing sanctions, protectionism, and really a containment strategy. They've seen China coming. And one of the mysteries to people is, how has China managed to do such a good tech with DeepSeek, despite having incredibly strict sanctions to prevent it getting from the basic chips that are American technology? That's why NVIDIA has been struck so hard.
So, Kieran, what I was hearing from the hysteria from the techies next door was better, cheaper, popular.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the headlines from that conversation?
DeepSeek is better. You ask it a query, it gives you a better answer. That's number one. I mean, that's fundamentally why people shift.
Is it? I mean, Emily immediately hacked that by getting our Alice, a researcher, ask it about Tiananmen Square, and it blanked it. It ghosted it. It didn't answer that. And then you ask about something
and
like...
And that goes to Guy's question about why are people worried about China
and should they be worried?
Yes.
Yeah. You ask them, okay, but setting aside little Chinese little things... is that a killer for it?
No, not at all, because how many times do you want to know about Tiananmen Square? The truth is, you ask it about photosynthesis, it gives you a better answer. You ask it about anything. You ask about the January 6th, gives a better answer. So it gives you a better answer. The most important thing, however, apart from being better, is it's cheaper. Like much cheaper.
But are they cheap to use? Aren't they free to use anyway? For like, you can put in a query.
Once you get to a certain, I mean, yes, for the consumer asking a question, it's basically free. I mean, once you start using industrial levels, it costs a lot, and it's basically a 20th of the price.
Wow!
And the reason why this is such
what do you mean? How much is one and how much is the other?
I saw a good thing online which they're saying the cost of creating a novel, and they said 25,000 words, and they said using ChatGPT would be roughly $400, and then using DeepSeek it would be $20.
Wow. You know,
and what about getting an AI to read that crap afterwards?
And to critique it? The UK is making much of its AI investment. We're a small business. We need AI. We actually need AI to do computational calculations around threat intelligence. It's really expensive. It's looking at huge data sets that are stalling when we're buying cloud technology. This is a promise for the future.
This is a question to ask all three of you. In a week that our government is creating growth by building airports everywhere, which questions green credentials, but that's for another day. But one of the things that everyone has been talking about is, can the UK be a player in AI? Does this thing suggest, if it's cheap and possible, that there are not barriers to entry and smaller players can come in and be part of the market?
I mean, I would love it if this had been the UK producing DeepSeek. And we've got that. There is the capabilities and the knowledge and the innovative mindsets in the UK to do it, and the government, is talking about the new Silicon Valley. Doesn't really know what it's doing. Well, and I would have loved it if Cambridge or Oxford or Leeds or Sheffield or Edinburgh or Manchester, if they had allowed people and they'd sort of built the innovation and they'd come up with the DeepSeek.
Emily, final point.
Well, we did a project on the UK's quantum capabilities. And the UK is amazing in its universities. So its research and development is absolutely fantastic, and its tech startups are fantastic. But speaking to those people, their biggest ambition was, we hope to be bought by an American giant. And that is where the UK consistently falls down, is in scaling up and really going big time for technology.
Which takes us to our next subject, which is about Chancellor Rachel Reeves' announcement, which she reinforced in her trip to Oxford 2 days ago. Before that, let's have some fun. Guy Bellamy, don't answer me just yet. It's time for our Tech Room 101. Room 101. Hello, Guy Bellamy. What is your Tech Room 101? What would you like to chuck in the bin forever?
This will sound boring, but it really gets to me, being a newsman, is when I do Google searches for news. And you click click on a piece of news, and it's you got to register first. If you've got to register, you shouldn't do a Google search.
Oh, but that's anti-news revenues, Guy.
If you've got to if you've got to register or pay to get access to a newspaper, it should be in the sponsored page, not in the news page.
We weren't quite expecting that, because I read last night that you were going to do cookie notices again. We had a whole gag.
I hate those.
And the guys just didn't do the gag, so maybe they knew more than I did.
That's a big one too, because another thing that annoys me is when you have terms and conditions. I remember when I got my Apple products or any products, and they give you an 8,000 word thing, knowing you're just going to press I agree, and then the cookie I agree, and is getting to a culture where no one reads anything. No. And I know it sounds like Victor Meldrew, but actually, if we're creating a culture where just tick things, don't have to read them, I think that's also why people fall for HMRC scams and other things, because the internet has got to get people to take a breath and read things.
Yeah. So it becomes something you click through to get to the content.
You don't have to read it, just take it.
There was a study that showed that if you actually read all the terms and conditions, it would take thousands of hours. So you wouldn't actually have any time to do anything. So
how have we not yet got to the point where if you want to read a news story, you get charged 1p and it just happens, and you just agree and you have a wallet and you have £10 in it. You go, you've run out, you need to put another £5. How have we not got there?
But for me, it's just the way I am. I look at news, you click on the news page, the headlines, it comes up, look at BBC News, you want to read the story. For me, it really annoys me when you click on it, certain newspapers and titles or online titles, and it's like, you can't read it until you register. It's like, well, don't be on a Google search then.